June webinar, Video Marketing for Beginners with Digital Wire 360. We're really excited for this one. I know that you guys have been, waiting for something like this to come out, so we're really excited to have Digital Wire 360 um, on this with us. So I see that we're already starting to use the chat, and I'm going to go over first off some housekeeping details, and hopefully this will help you, Michelle, with a little bit of the sound issues. So we recommend that if you want to check your volume first, make sure that it is set to the appropriate level. Sometimes, we just kind of get stuck in wherever we're at from the last thing. So just make sure that the volume is up to where you need it to be. And then we also recommend for speed quality, make sure to close all other windows and any other programs that you have. It's just going to drag on what we've got going on here. So just go ahead and close anything else. And then I just want to remind everybody that we are recording this session. So we will make all of this available to everybody on the line here after it's done processing, which usually takes about a day. So just be on the lookout for that. And with that, I'm not going to take too much time, but I also wanted to mention that we're going to be using this chat box throughout the whole time. So please feel free, maybe to kind of kick things off. If you see your chat box right underneath the presentation, go ahead and use it and let us know maybe your business or where you're tuning in from around the state or from around the valley here. We'd love to hear from you. And then if you have questions throughout, we'll make sure that if there are clarifying questions or anything like that, we'll get those in right away. And any bigger questions, we'll probably save those for the end, but we'll just play it by ear. And I see that we've got Nick from Clarkdale. That's awesome. We've got Jordan from Salad Dash. That's wonderful. So yeah, just keep using this chat box throughout. It's going to be very interactive. We're really excited again to have Digital Wire 360 and our two main presenters here. We have Brandy Aguilar, Director of Storytelling, and Greg Naylor, Chief Creative Pilot. So just be using the chat box, and we'll just get started here. And here we go.
Well, thank you, Kendall, for having Greg and I. And so what we're going to do today is we just like to thank everybody for coming this morning to our Video Marketing 101 for Beginners. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about tips for shooting good content. We're also going to talk about how to form a good story. And then we're going to give you some tools and some apps that you can use yourself if you're shooting video that are easy and that are free. And then also we're going to talk about some good and bad examples so that you can get a feel of what Greg and I do on a regular basis when we're doing video storytelling. And then I'm going to let Greg see if he has a couple things he wants to add as well, too.
That was a quick fastball there for me. So as I'm looking through my notes, we love this interactive part of the whole thing. So again, being able to see what, if I was to take a guess at just the people that I'm seeing, it's like if a lot of you guys are just sole proprietors, or you're just going to do it yourself, or you're part of a bigger marketing team. I mean, we can, again, point this in those types of directions. So I think originally we were just coming from the point of view of just one individual person, what could they do? But we're saying that the audio is not hot enough here, so we're going to keep adjusting this as we go. So we will try to follow what's happening at the bottom. And it's I guess this isn't really a really great human experience because we don't have the interaction with somebody in front of us, but we'll do the best we can with this. So thanks everybody for being here.
Okay, it sounds like Jordan said we had better sound. So, all right, here we go. So we're going to go through our PowerPoint. We are going to have some videos that we will periodically go back and forth and show you, and then we welcome any questions during this webinar. Greg and I like to talk, so if you guys have any questions, please let us know. All right, so here we go. Why video is important. So here's some marketing stats that I pulled from HubSpot. Now, there's many other research and studies out there that'll have stats, but I like these ones. And we'll start with 64% of users are more likely to buy a product online after watching a video. And then another stat is 80% of users recall a video ad they viewed in the past 30 days. Now, the next one, 92% of mobile video consumers share videos with others, which I do all the time. So that's because of video has so many devices that we can use. You don't just see it on a website anymore. You can be on your phone, YouTube, you name it. There's tons of devices out there to show your video about your business featuring your product or your service. And then the last little tip on there is including a video on a landing page can increase conversion rates by 80%. For me, when I'm looking with working with a business, I like to go and see if there's some type of a video talking about who owns the business or what exactly their product or service is. That's just something that I like. So it looks like we might have lost audio. So I'm keep going. So then the next thing is, so those are some quick stats for you. And like I said, there's many others out there that you can look at. So why video marketing? So here's where Greg and I will kind of go back and forth and talking and giving you some bullet points. Video marketing is important because it promotes your brand. It lets people know what exactly it is you have to offer. What is the product that you have? What is the service that you have? That is the main thing for video marketing. Now, the next thing would be introduces who is behind the brand. So these days, while maybe we like to meet people in person, a lot of things are online. So this is where your video comes in handy. This introduces you to the people who are behind the brand. So it tells you who the business owner is. Maybe it's a video talking about your employee. It's also a video highlighting the service or product that you came up with and you want to give to other people. Basically, you're trying to reach a larger audience. And that's why video marketing is important because you have so many devices, like I said earlier, that it can go on. So your video could be YouTube, your video could be on your landing page of your website for your business. It can be on the phone. There are so many things that videos can reach, and that's why I have reaches a larger audience. And then we have improved organic SEO.
So Google actually owns YouTube, and so they change their algorithm quite often, as some of you have realized with search engine optimization. But it's crucial to obviously have those things connecting. It does seem as though Google owns the world now, and we have to play within the rules that are there, and we always have to watch and see what changes or what's coming around the bend. So that's what that's basically that last slide there is tied to.
Okay, so then we're going to move on to our next slide. Here's types of videos. So types of videos could be explainers. Now, with explainers, that is talking about, what your business is all about, the product or the service that you are giving. And those are really important for businesses because that introduces people right away if they were to go to your landing page or if it would be on your Facebook or any social media outlets that you have currently. The other type of video is testimonials. These are great videos of people who have with your service, they have a great experience. So it's always nice to get those on camera so they can explain why, let's say, you are going to this certain doctor and he helped fix my ACL. So you're talking about why Dr. So-and-so did a great job, and then therefore other people see that, and then they might look at that doctor and then want to then take his service. The other type of video that we like is behind the scenes. It's so much fun to see the culture of the businesses that maybe that we're buying a product or a service. So behind the scenes is great. That's one thing that I like. Anything you want to say about behind the scenes? We kind of do a lot, Greg, here at our studio.
So one of my tasks here at the office is a technical director, and so as I'm watching this presentation, I'm seeing people have mic audio issues. I tend to still want to do my job and make sure this is clear for everybody. So if I do sound a little startled by Brandy asking me a question, I may be focusing on other things. But so go ahead.
Okay, that was good. Thanks, Greg. So then, so then the next thing, another type of video would be tips. It's always nice to throw in some tips about your service. So, maybe there is you own a food or own a restaurant. So you can talk about some of the tips into making an enchilada or a grilled cheese sandwich. Those are just types of things that are also great videos that you can put anywhere. Okay, so hold on one second. We're just checking something here.
Hi guys, I know that we're experiencing just a few different issues with the sound, so I just want to take a moment to address it so then we can make sure that you get all of this really great information. So right now I'm speaking into the microphone. if you could please just write in really quickly and let me know if you can hear me clearly, that would be wonderful. Wonderful, Jordan. Thank you. Okay, that's wonderful. Perfect. Okay.
No, they're good, it sounds like. All right, here we go. So those are nope, I think we're good. So these are just some types of videos. There's many other types of videos out there that you can use to explain your business, product or service. So let's go ahead and we'll move to the next slide. So this is where we talk about tips for delivering good content, about the I
Ask them the question. Some of these people here to figure this. Yeah, this would be the great question. So I wish somebody could interact to find out, because it's just not as easy as just hitting record and saying I'm going to make a video. It's like when you go to your friends and they want to show you their, here's my vacation video. It's like, okay, great. So if anybody has any input on this next slide, we can slow this down a little bit, because to me this is honestly the most crucial part of the whole process of asking yourself why you're making a video and who is it for. And these are the questions that we always ask here in every product, anything we do. We build everything around why. Why and who, but for sure why. And they're it's a hard question when you keep asking whys. It's you've ever heard of the thing called the 5 whys? It was Toyota developed it to fix problems, and they would just in all in my years of working here, it's probably the easiest way to solve things. I just keep asking that question. So honestly, it's I know this is video 101, but it's always the simplest stuff that's how do I say it? It's simple. It's really easy to make things difficult and complicated and go long, and you think you're really smart because you're adding so much stuff, but that is not hard to do. It is very difficult to be succinct and short and get it down. And so I'm just paraphrasing this slide, and then we'll just start again at the top. But if anybody wants to chime in on this part, to me, this is where we try to sell what we do, and I'll leave it over here to Brandy. Cool.
Thanks, Greg. I know, I like it. Okay, so and like to kind of with what Greg was just saying, it's definitely good to have a clear message about what your story is going to be about. What is the whole focus of your video going to be? Which is why he said, why are you doing it and who is it for? Why will your audience or why will your customers care that you're putting this video out there? So these are some of the things that you need to think about as you're going in to try to create a video. That's just a basic 101.
The other challenge that I guess we experience when people come and they need us to market something, the question is this about you or is it about your customer? And there's different times to do a video about yourself and saying, hey, look at our wonderful soap product. This is the best soap that's ever been invented, and this is great, and this does this, versus I'm reading a question while this is going on. Versus showing somebody using the soap and having this experience. So there's always these two frames of mind that you'll be constantly trying to fit into it, and that can, I mean, the best people know how to do it, but it's tricky. So I would recommend when you do decide to do a video, decide back to those two questions: who is it for, or who is it about? Like, is it about you or is it about the customer? And always determine those two things. That is very, very crucial.
So it looks like we actually have a question from Michelle. She asks, how does your why change or evolve with longer versus shorter format? For example, 5 minutes versus 1 minute format. So while our presenters are just kind of thinking on that, if you have any other questions, please feel free to chime in. And just so you guys know, we are recording this session, so anybody that had any sound issues, we'll make sure that you have that as well. So thank you so much, Michelle, for chiming in. And thank you, everybody, for sticking with us.
So Michelle, maybe we can ask her, just give me an example of a video. So if this was a training video for or how to put your wagon together that you're building, then that would have a different element than your elevator pitch about your business. So you know maybe you could chime in on that, because that would give us a little bit more specific on why the minute. There's no hard and fast rule, but we always want things as short as we can. So you've heard of the elevator pitch. When somebody asks you what you do, and you have to have that stuff figured out, and you should have that in 7 or 8 seconds. I think the interesting statistic out there, though, is people generally forget 80% of the things they saw the day before. So being short and succinct, we just always strive. We always try to cut videos as short and cut it and cut, and we're always cutting. So that's just a mode that we go into. And so, did she chime in?
Okay, well, I hope that, Michelle, that helped answer your question a little bit. Like it's, Greg said, it does depend. If it's the elevator pitch, sometimes we'd like to get it in 30 seconds in a video or a minute. And then if you're trying to teach someone how to make a wagon, that video is probably going to go longer because there's many steps that you have to explain on how that wagon is created. Now, the last thing with this for tips for delivering good content, there's much more that can go into this actual slide. But we do have a storyboard. So once you decide the message of what your video is going to be about, why you're doing it, who is it focused on, why will the audience care, then we'd have this website that you can go to that kind of creates a storyboard.
And we put that up because it's what we have to do with our team, because we have over 10 people working on a project at sometimes, or teams of 5. So to get your idea across, that's a great way. Unfortunately, we couldn't hyperlink this to the site, but all a storyboard is, you could just literally make squares on a page. You could put 9 boxes on a page and use stick figures and somewhat lay out what you're thinking and how it's going to go. So when I watch documentaries on Pixar, they have these huge rooms and they have sticky notes and they move the story around and try all kinds of things in that same way. So it's a good visual representation of trying to get everybody to communicate, because generally, and again, if you're just doing it on your own, you probably don't need to do it. You probably have it in your head. But again, for a team, or you're trying to explain to your person above you or CEO how this is going to go, you need to sell those ideas. You cool?
That was good. All right. So let's go ahead and we're going to move to our next slide. Here is some video equipment. Video equipment 101, things that you can use yourself if you are going to shoot your own video. So we're going to show some examples here in a second. But of course, phone and iPad are great tools to use to film your video. Or any kind of a pad, actually, I should say, excuse me. I should be any kind. So obviously, those are 2 great things to use to be able to film video. So the other things that we want to talk about with equipment are tripods. There are certain tripods, smaller ones, larger ones that you can use. And as well as there's microphones. So yes, you may be able to use the microphone or from the phone or whatever type of pad that you're using. But we also have different types of microphones, like a lavalier mic that we might use as well. So we'll go ahead and pop up that video, Kendall, and we have one of Nick, who's my videographer here at Digital Wire 360, is in this video. He's demonstrating some stuff, so we'll go ahead and show it. And what he's doing here is he is showing you, this is kind of a bigger tripod that you can use. He's hooking up the phone. So of course this is on a table, but this is something that you can put on the ground, and he's trying to show you that it can be raised. So it doesn't have to be that small and that close up. And then, but she's just showing it again so you can see that. So then we'll go to the next one, which shows the smaller tripod. And that one actually can wrap around certain things if you're trying to get certain shots. So it's more for close-up shots as well. And like I said, he's just showing you how easy it is to stick it in the tripod.
So the nice thing about, like, if you watch some classic films from long ago, there's some tricky things that I know that this is like about marketing, but there's in basic cinematography, a camera standing still can be very, very helpful for you. I mean, you can create things by, like, when I try to tell people when they're first starting, like, don't pan, don't zoom, or if you're going to zoom, walk with the camera. If you're going to try to create some sort of mood, just hold the camera still and have people walk into the frame. It'll just make your life a lot easier. I just wanted to add that to this part, why you would use a tripod. And
yes, it was mostly about with the tripods, with the phone or with the iPad. So then we can go to the next video, and it's just another demonstration. If you were going to film with your iPad or any type of pad that you're using, that this is how it would set up. Oh, it'll come. But it's just basically showing, because some people, you don't have to use your phone. There's other ways to do that. And what we're going to do is show you some examples here in just a second, showing footage that I took from my phone, as well as from shooting with the iPad, because I have an iPad, what it would look like. So let's hold on one second for me. So now, actually, this video that we're showing is, and I'll let Greg explain this a little bit more. Is this the lavalier mic? Because sometimes you don't have to use the camera mic.
So lavalier just basically clips onto your tie or your shirt, and it's just getting it closer to your mouth so that you're not receiving. Someone's saying here, noise while taping. I'm getting less noise. Okay, good, exactly. So this is helpful. This ties back to, we'll go into locations after this, but that is a great question about sound. So obviously sound is like light and it moves everywhere. So if you can, if you're trying to I'm not a huge fan of lavalier mics, to be honest with you. I mean, they're just challenging to get a good sound with, in my opinion. And I can recommend on another page some noise reduction software that I recommend. That a lot of the software has stuff in it that you can get after the fact. So you've got to, like, again, when you're trying to pick a source where you don't want to put them in an echo chamber or they're somewhere big, you're just dealing with basic audio recording. And in my opinion, audio is, I mean, you have two ears, so it's fairly strong. And I think the brain I think it even processes audio faster than it does a visual sign. And I remember the story, and I don't have the proof to back it up, but I remember when they were first designing high definition, that they ran a study where they ran the high definition signal. I think it was at 1080 back then. It used to be 480, and then it went to 1080. And they used poor audio, and then they ran a standard definition video with really good audio. People thought the second one looked better. So there's some sort of perception there. So to me, audio is really crucial to this whole process. So GoPros are fine. The challenge with the GoPro is that it's a fisheye lens, so there are challenges to that. I mean, it does, as you see, it's used for sports and going. And now there are plugins inside of more professional Final Cut Pro and your Adobe Suite stuff where you can fix that GoPro footage. But the audio on a GoPro is just really, I mean, the one that I have is really poor. I don't know. I don't know how I would, if I was trying to use that as my main device. But yeah, you can get some cool stuff with it for sure. Let's see. Can mic noise be removed after? Absolutely. Yes, mic noise can be removed with noise reduction. So look up noise reduction software. The challenges with noise reduction software are that they generally like to take the high end off of the vocal. So there's a certain frequency that I recommend around, human voice, if you look it up, female voice and male voice they're close in there, but you're right around this 2.5 kilohertz frequency and 5. So you have to be careful when you're taking the noise out that you're not taking the high end out of the vocal so that it sounds muffly. So you want to get that first consonant on every letter of the word that you're speaking. It's more important than, some just background droning. Cool. So we're going to move on to lights. Lights are, a lot of the phones shoot really great even in low light. So I will go into the lighting part as far as your exposure settings. That's the crucial part of lighting. And some of the higher end iPhone apps and iPad apps have light meters on them. And so I will show you a graphic after we talk about this that just explains basically what's going on. It's like, but we will go into that. That's en route.
Okay, well, that's just kind of there's much more that can be put in this video equipment 101, but these are some of the basics that we wanted to at least cover. And inexpensive, and they're also very powerful to use as well. You'll see some examples here in just a second. We're going to move to, so let's say that you use some of those tools to then film your video. So now I've got to edit that video and then put it out. This is something for social media outlets, and these are just some ones that are free. Now they can be upgraded as well too. So that's one thing about it. Some of this has free stuff you can use, but if you want to upgrade and do some more things, it's always nice to do that, and it's inexpensive for some of these as well. So we have Magisto, InShot, Animoto.
Filmic Pro is pay to play. It's a little bit. I put that in there for a reason because I'm going to show you a video where they use that to edit, and then basically the iMovie is just the baby version. That I mean, we're trying to say, like as she says, editing apps for your phone. It's like you could do all this in your phone. This is pretty amazing. Like that all this can happen. So.
And for me, these were some of the apps that I would use because I'm an Android person too, so that's another thing. So I was able to some of these apps, and they do go on both.
Yes, there we go. So actually, I think they're all except obviously iMovie will not work on an Android, but I think everything else does. Yeah, pretty sure.
Yes, because I like to make sure that it's on both, and just because I have an Android. So usually these are the apps that I picked. The only one is the iMovie. For the Android, I had my own movie maker that I was able to download for the Android. So like I said before, that there's free stuff that you can do with these tools, and then of course you can upgrade. So let's go ahead and just show a couple of examples of some video I shot at an event a little while back at the Arizona Center. So we'll start with the InShot one. Now, this is just basic. There's more things that InShot can do. So it's always nice to go in, look at all the tutorials on the InShot. They're great. I love the tutorials. They show you what you can do. So this was basic. I was at the Arizona Science Center between a cat club and had an event. So we were there playing in the creative space. And so I put filters. And this is just me doing this. And because I'm not a videographer, I can shoot, but I have a team here that does that. I am the storyteller, the one who interviews and writes the stories and puts them together. But I can do some basic stuff. And so that's what I did I shot that video on my phone and I put it in the InShot app, and then I was able to make some filters, and then I was able to create something. I was able to fade it in and out, and I'm also able to edit the video, because when I did shoot this video in the beginning, I did have a couple of mistakes. I was moving, wobbling, and so I was able to edit that out with this particular app, which is what I like. So then we're going to go ahead to the next one. Animoto is another app that I put pictures from this actual event to. And like I said, there's much more that these apps can do. We were just trying to show you some basic things.
Begin where it ends, and to begin, knock on that door so you can get in, and don't mind the time, forget all that's been.
So as you can see, I just took the photo, shoved it into the Animoto app. It already had, things already built. I was able to select different backgrounds. You can do different filters. And then I'm able to put some type of text on there. So at the end, you saw playing at the Arizona Science Center. And then the music. So they have a large selection of music, and you can listen to them before you put them on the video. But those are just two of the apps for me when I go out and don't have one of my videographers with me, that when I'm shooting some events, I just use my phone, and then I pop it into one of these editing apps. You want to talk about the other ones? Oh, we'll wait till we get to those examples. So, okay, so. And now we'll go ahead, and then this is actually where we're going to show some, well, actually, this for editing app screenshots, this is just for you that we put in the presentation to show, like, if you were going to do InShot, you could do a video, you can do photos, and you can do a collage. And then, of course, there's filter changes. You can adjust it. You can do text. There's all different types of things that you can do to that video to make it look the way that you want to. And also, one thing I'd like to add with video storytelling or video 101, that it doesn't have to be sound. And as you just noticed with the examples I just showed, that it can be photos with text. That's just as powerful to get your message across about your product or your service. So yes, it could be that you're interviewing somebody and that's the story, and then you're interviewing an expert, or you can just have pictures like I just showed you at the Arizona Science Center, and then I just put playing and having fun. So this depends on what outlet that you want to put your video on and what your focus is of that video.
So now we have some examples of good versus not so good video examples. So repeated examples. So I want to play the Bentley one, number 3 first. And I'll tell you what the deal is on this. This is so cool to me because, I mean, this was shot on an iPhone. Now, I will explain all the added things that they added to the phone, and they will go over it. This is like a behind the scenes. So they shot this on an iPhone, and they edited it on a iPad inside the car, which you will see. I shouldn't be telling you, but this is what I want you to look for. And then after this ends, I can kind of explain a few things that are going on, how to get some of this. But this really sets the bar for what you can do. And I would say it like this. I mean, these guys probably are using, if you give a cinematographer that's used to using a $100,000, $200,000 camera and iPhone, he will make it look good because he's got that mathematical background. So, yeah, the Bentley, yeah, yep. Here it comes. Hope we have audio on it.
This is the only thing I can do. I draw to relax. I draw to find ideas. I've always been drawing, so it's not work, it's just life. Cars are my toys. I'm playing with toys all my life.
You have to know the brand first in order to design Bentley. Our design focus is always innovation, but yet respecting our tradition. This is always a starting point when we design Bentley.
My name is Luc Donkerwolk, and I'm head of design for Bentley.
My name is Sang-Yup Lee. I'm a head of exterior design at Bentley Motors.
So that's the actual
Our
cool
design
spot. We have a
focus is
behind the
always-
scenes one that is that in queue maybe possibly? Okay, cool. So we're going to bring that up, but so I think that was the I don't have the audio on my end to see what that video was, but that has the creative director and probably the head of design for Bentley. And but again, we're going to run this behind the scenes on kind of how they did it, and it'll set the bar on what can be done with an iPhone. And then I'll walk through some of the plugins and things that they use. Here it comes.
I'm Austin Reza, Creative Director at Reza & Company. With the relaunch of the updated Mulsanne, Bentley Motors wanted to engage potential owners and promote its new feature, 2 rear cabin workstations with integrated iPads. After brainstorming with Bentley, we decided that we didn't only want to talk about the integrated technology within the Mulsanne, we wanted to use the technology to create the film. This decision led us to shoot on the iPhone 5S and assemble the edit on the same iPads in the back of the Mulsanne. For the second film in the Intelligent Detail series, Bentley Motors wanted to continue to push the capabilities of the iPhone, but this time we had an upgrade, Apple's iPhone 6 and 6 Plus. For more fluid and dynamic imagery, we utilize the Movi 5, which is extremely useful in a run-and-gun situation. When we are on a tripod or in a handheld situation, we use the Beast Grip Pro. It let us use additional lenses, professional filters, and on top of that had a solid grip. We also added an anamorphic lens to our kit, provided by Moondog Labs. It helped us introduce a 2:4:0 aspect ratio in the second film. As for software, we used a mix of 2 apps, Filmic Pro and Filmmaker. Both have strong features, but it came down to the personal preference of both camera operators. While technology and cameras are important in producing images, moving pictures are about capturing moments.
Okay, so we're hoping that you guys were able to hear that. Can somebody chime in and say that that goes through fine? It's kind of, I don't want to talk about it if we weren't able to. Anybody? Somebody's chiming in. Heard. Cool. Thanks, guys. Awesome. So, okay, so some of the stuff that they were using in there, it's now you know, did you see they were kind of holding this thing? It just looked like tubing or something, black tubing, and they were basically balancing the phone and walking. And so the original invention, you know, in the 70s was called a Steadicam, where you would mount the camera to your, you have like a chest plate, and then you would balance the camera because the cameras were very, very heavy. And so what the thing that those guys they were holding, and they were calling it a Movi, which is, you know, basically a handheld gimbal that keeps the image very solid. No matter how you move, it keeps it there. So even since video was done, there's been inventions now. There are handheld gimbals that you could literally go. I have one. I bought it at the Apple store. It's around $300, and you can put your phone on it and walk around and get some really great, you know, nice moving shots in that regard. They also talked about in that video where they were mounting something inexpensive like a Beast Grip, which that's like a mount that you put your phone into, and then you can put an Android or an iPhone into that mount, and then add other lenses. So the trick with that whole video is the lenses, the glass that they added to the iPhone. So it's kind of deceiving to say, hey, they did this on an iPhone, but it does tell you that you know, the capability of the sensor in the phone, and that's even the older one. I think that was like a 6. So so again, some inexpensive ways you can buy little clip-on things for your iPhone or your Android. Other lenses. There's some companies. There's a great company called Zeiss. They've been making glass forever. You can add things to that. I have about $1,500 worth of just little click-on lenses for my iPhone. I bought a duffel bag, and I decided to put my whole creative life in that one bag. And of course, we have a lot of heavy stuff here, and we have all the big stuff. But when I want to camp or go out and about, I just want to be mobile and I want to be free. So I've really tried to maximize, set parameters for myself on what I can create with what I have. So can't think of anything else on the Bentley. Oh, the other cool thing about that commercial is they shot and edit. I mean, they shot it on the iPhone, but they edited all that in the car. It was as a little trendy little thing, but they edited that on the iPad, and they used iMovie. So they also, I guess, they talked about using that Filmic Pro application, which is kind of you can really dial in a lot of settings and different things with that one app. I think there was 2 different ones they mentioned. I don't remember the other one, but I do use the Filmic Pro, and I also have that anamorphic. If you want to get that anamorphic film effect, you have to buy. It's a Moondog Labs anamorphic filter that you put on the front of your camera glass for your iPhone, and you can get that thing, which they talked about in the video as well. They're similar. Yes, it kind of goes across the board. When I say phones, I mean Android and I just consider them the same, honestly. Um, I, I I I don't get that excited about when people talk about megapixels. I'm more concerned about the optics of the camera. So, you know, I guess if you're wanting, like, I buy phones on Craigslist for like the best phone in my opinion that's out there is 2 years old. It's an iPhone 6 Plus S or 6S, and it works really well. It's got 4K, and they're like $200. So you don't need to plug it in. You don't need to use it as a phone, but it's a really amazing piece of optics for video and some of these kits that you'll see. So I'm answering that. There we go with that. So let's do the okay. Now here's the thing. This Pittsburgh dad. I'm from Pittsburgh, and this little skit. This guy does this skit, and it's if you're not from there, you wouldn't really get it. The reason I'm putting this in there is that these guys make films, and they shoot all these things on their iPhone with no mic or anything, and no equipment hardly, and they get 50,000 views every week. They've turned this into a business. I mean, they're like royalty in Pittsburgh. But I just wanted to show the example of this because it's like if you have good content or you have an actor like that that can do it, it's pretty cool. The other thing that's interesting of how they're doing this, they're actually making jump cuts, which we feel is not the way to do it, but people don't seem to mind. Meaning, you do a take, it wasn't a good take, you cut it. I see that a lot in YouTube videos. People just talk and then there's a cut. They talk because they're just trying it over and over and over. So it seems to be an acceptable technique now in the world that we don't even really realize. So maybe we could just play like 20 seconds of or something. I mean, people aren't really going to get it, but I just wanted to show how successful this is in that regard. And that's why, it's, well, this particular one, I don't know, he's at 60, maybe 60,000 or something.
What, Dad? Yes, I'm using the coriander and the water jug. But what do you think I'm doing with them? Building the Stanley Cup. I watched the whole guy on YouTube make one of these. Am I gonna get to that mulch? Let me tell you, mulching got bumped on that schedule as soon as the Pens won a cup. This could take all day. Oh, what do you mean it was your grandma's colander? Who the hell wills a colander to somebody? Your brother got the house, and your sister got the jewelry.
So again, that's what just again guys that know really they make films, for real, and then do this little character guy, and it's like it just goes to show that the content is king. Like people get around some of the other stuff. We have a gag one on here we want to play just for fun, and we're just going to enjoy this play number. We just want to play this just to play it, and you all can chime in and maybe we can ask the question, what was wrong with this video, or maybe there isn't anything wrong with this video. That could be a great topic of discussion once it rolls through.
Hi, I'm Wendy Scott from Scottish Rentals. Shut up. Stop it. Hi, I'm Annie Scott from Scottish Rentals. We have the widest range of vehicles available in New Zealand.
Hi, my name's Keith Scott, and Scotty's has a 5-star guarantee which gives you the confidence to book with us. You'll get 24-hour AA service, and all our cars have been through the Automobile Association rigorous 6-monthly test.
You want... Oh no, hang on.
We're going to cut things short because we're getting low on time here, but that was just I mean, I guess they were trying to be funny with it, and maybe that was the cool thing about it. But obviously, we watched it; it became popular enough. So we're going to move on to these tips for filming good content. Okay, first thing I have here is use the rule of thirds. So there we go. Awesome. We actually have a slide for that. That's awesome. So let's just look at this image here, and we can determine what that actually means. So you'll see things here, and you can see where they've placed the subject in the photo. So there's a lot of things that are going on with this, and what you can do with this anytime you shoot in this way. We always try to one of the benefits of shooting in higher resolution, or like even a 4K, is that you can shoot things a lot larger and then crop them down in post. But there's a thing that we kind of live by in all design. It's called the golden ratio. And so this is part of that golden ratio of just kind of how nature works. And I could talk an hour about these subjects because I'm a wannabe architect, but this rule of thirds is kind of like just what it says. Try to frame up your shots like that so that why it works. But I would say this, though. Obviously, if you had that shot, you'd have space to do something on the other side or make something happen. But you'll notice that more things you start looking at in the world and in the design world, if you look up the golden ratio and rule of thirds, just Google that term, things will start to make more sense to you and why things are designed the way they are. So video quality. So I wanted to talk about exposure settings. That was what we were talking about earlier. When So most cameras have this. So we have the 0 in the center. You really want to have that. Let's just call that, obviously 0 is at, perfect. Let's call it that. Now, if you want a hotter image, you want more light. It's not dark. It's too dark. You want to brighten it up. If you know how to use a camera, you can adjust. There's multiple things to adjust. I won't go into all that, but this is a crucial thing and what happens when this isn't correct. So the first one is overexposure. So overexposure would mean +2, like past that, meaning your image is just too hot. You have way too much light coming to the image, and you cannot fix that in post. That's the worst thing you can possibly do, is just shoot too hot. You'd be better to shoot darker and bump it up than can't just that. So what's the next slide here? Okay, so underexposed. So that would mean the other side. It's on the negative. It's on the dark side of it. You're not, the center is perfect, meaning if the center is just exactly what's happening in front of you, then obviously minus that is just dark, dark, dark. So again, of the two, I would take this shot over the other shot. If somebody had to give me something, I could work this in post and make something happen. Okay, this is another common error, backlighting. So what's happening here is that if you shoot somebody like up against a window and there's more light coming from the behind them than in front of them, this is the effect that you will get. This is a big thing that you see a lot in photography, and people are always, it's like some of the rules of it are, have your back to the sun, and in the perfect world of cinematography, we try to shoot outside in magic hours when the sun's coming up and when it's going down. It's because there's no how do I say this? It's an even light. There's not a direct sunlight on the subject. So I think that's pretty self-explanatory. So we also talk about lighting techniques, ways you can, if you are going to use lights. This is I have, over the years, I know a lot of different point systems and all these things, and at the end of the day, I feel like less is more if you can make that happen, because you're not gonna. But I did want to show this because this is a standard issue thing. You'll hear people talking about 3-point lighting. So again, your backlight could just be natural light from a window, something coming in, or you could set a light up there. Your key light is we have it at 100%, so you pick that. That's really the spot. If you had to just pick one, you would pick that. And then you have your fill light just to try to smooth out the images of what these other lights are creating, so to speak. I know we're moving fast here. Okay.
I think one thing to add before we get into our next slide is that the length of videos. So a lot of seminars that I've been with, they usually like to be, concise, short, nothing more than, 2 minutes is 2 minutes or less. Sometimes people like 30 seconds. For me, I'm a long storyteller, so I will have put stories out there that are 5 or 6 minutes. But it all depends, though, on the audience and what the story, who's going to be seen it, what audience. So then we kind of determine, or what exactly it is that I'm explaining. It determines on how long I need that video to be. So usually, if you're doing social videos, 30 seconds is good. I think definitely nothing more than minute and a half would probably work just as fine. So the other thing we're going to do is to bring in the professional. So we just have some tips here. So you just have to kind of think, when do you need to bring in somebody to then actually shoot your video? So think about, where are your videos being used? Is this something that's going to go before a big conference and there are 5,000 people and you're showcasing your product or service? Or is it on your landing page? Because that's usually where people get introduced to you, is by your website. So on that landing page, it's probably a good idea to maybe then bring somebody in to help, or at least work with you to make that video happen. And then, of course, there is the time to complete the project. So, actually, let's go back. I'm going to have Greg talk about the level of quality.
Well, everything is scalable in life, in your business. I mean, if you make $100,000 a month, and this is back to the time of how long it takes to get something done. What is it? What is at risk if it isn't good? With your particular brand, it's all scalable. I think what I was trying to share with them, like if I was Intel and I said, let me bring in Susan from accounting because she has an iPhone and she can go out and shoot this really fast, it probably wouldn't play that well, so to speak. So it's all, again, it's a moving scale of how serious. And those are the determinations we all need to figure out. And within our budget, how much time, back to time. So like, okay, I'm running this company now. I'm going to take I've never done this before, but I'm going to take, all right, I'm going to take 40 hours that I need, even though I make 125 an hour myself. I'm going to pay somebody. I mean, again, these are the types of things. And I don't scale what we have on here. I'm assuming we have individual sole proprietors, but even at that capacity, there's a lot at risk because, you know, it's the old Walt Disney saying, for every negative thing that happens to your patrons, you have to do 20 positive things. So in this world of putting things out on the internet, people decide whether you're cool or not. You can think you're the coolest thing and tell them how cool you are, and they see your video and just say no. So it's there's a lot at risk. So anyways.
So, and I think the other thing is experience. You know, the people that you're working with or that you hired to come and help you bring your video to life, to bring your story to life. And I think Greg had made a note that I saw. It's kind of like peace of mind. You know, and you're working with people who have been doing this for a long time. I mean, between Greg and I, we both have 40 years experience in this field. You know, with him and me interviewing and writing stories. So those are just some bullet points that we wanted to bring up, when to bring in the professional. So should I go ahead and take the break, or we do some questions and then we'll go into the Okay. So is there some questions? I know that we saw a couple that were in the beginning of the presentation.
Wonderful. So this is Kendall again. And I wanted to just backtrack just a little bit. I know Michelle, Jordan, and Maheen, you had some questions at the beginning. So maybe after hearing, you know, from Greg and Brandy, I just wanted to go back and Michelle's question: how does your wide change your longer, shorter video format, 5 minutes or 1 minute? It sounds like it just depends on what type of video that you're shooting. So, you know, let's say it is a training video. Obviously, that one would be longer. So, what would you recommend for like 1 minute? Is that like an introduction? Is that, you know, like what's a good sort of, you know, bullet point? Like these are sort of the shorter videos that you would want to keep to maybe 1 to 2 minutes.
I don't think we ever put restrictions on the time that something needs to be. I would say this though, when you see films and they start out and when they're usually editing a film, it's 3.5 hours, and then they cut it, and then they cut it, and then they cut it, and then they have focus groups watch it and go, I don't like that part. Then they cut it, and they cut it. So it's just a natural thing for some reason. I mean, I'm just saying, it's this weird thing. You want to capture as much as you can, make sure you have it, and you want to cut as much as you can. And it's just like, if it's not needed, if it doesn't serve you in any way, you don't. If you need filler, that's fine. But that's what music is for, imagery is for. I mean, you can tell a story. Again, it's always less is more. That's just our mode of doing things in general. I tell myself, I'm always telling myself, keep it simple, stupid. Just try. But it's so hard to keep things simple. So I get it. But you know, something you would want to watch. I mean, if you'd sit through it, then that's good. But people may not be as interested in you as.
Wonderful. Okay, and I'm not skipping you completely, Jordan. I just wanted to get to Maheen's question because I think that it also is along the same wavelength. You know, does the video length change depending on the format that you're using? Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Does that matter? You know, do you have some sort of some good tips or anything to kind of lean towards as far as like maybe making a shorter video depending on the format, and then doing a longer video if it's like on Facebook or something?
So this is marketing. So if it's all in accordance with, if my main goal is to get you to come to my website, like, so we're talking about Facebook. So I love Facebook for the reason of that I can see something that I've never. They will send me things that would interest me that I wouldn't find any other place. And when I see those, they're usually under 2 minutes. They're a minute and a half or something, and I'll click. If I'm interested, I'll go to the site. But again, this is, you're not going to hit a 5-run home run with your video marketing. I mean, you have to do it in strategic small chunks, and just get them, you know, convert them in 3 steps. I mean, if you can have that on Facebook, one click there to your site, and you have it like buy now, or you have that on that fold right there, and they're ready to go. I mean, you're in. I mean, and then if they want more information, that's fine. Have that for them, but not in your first. If it's just talking about you deciding what your company is, what you stand for, why you're doing what you do, and who it's for, you want to get that down, you should be able to say that in 30, 45 seconds. If you don't, working on that.
Quick, I think you kind of leave a cliffhanger sometimes as well too, because you get them to go back for more. So that's where then they go to your website and they click on it, and then they can figure out everything else you do. So that's why, you know, sometimes shorter is better.
And then Michelle also asks, what sites can you recommend for free or low cost music or sound to use? Do you guys have any that you like to point to? It looks like we're logging in and pulling up some sites, and Michelle will also make sure, and everybody on the line, that we include those in the follow-up as well. That's a really, really great question. And then going back to Jordan's question really quick for our presenters, he is launching a delivery service and thought about maybe making a video to introduce himself. And if you have maybe one or two thoughts to just, if that's something that, what type of delivery service, Jordan, if you are still on the line and you can type that in, that would be great. And for anybody else that's on the line here, if you have some questions that you would like to ask our presenters, please don't hesitate and get your questions out there too.
I do like the Creative Commons site for finding artists and music. My background is music. I love music. I want to see local, like find local bands. I mean, that's what I want to see you guys do. Like you know a band, you know someone that has a band, and like that would be wonderful because that just staying local. This is local first. So we have all these musicians here in Phoenix. And wouldn't it be great if we had a site that was just local musicians, or and it doesn't have to be their songs or their hit songs. Maybe it's just their orphaned beats that didn't make the cut. I mean, I'd love to start an initiative in that regard to make this kind of stuff happen, because you think about your product. I mean, a band can bring 45 of their friends down to your taco shack on a Tuesday night and play some songs, and what a cool thing. It's like, that's culture. So my vote. I can post some other things. There's this one, I think this thing called Audionautics, but I don't know off the top of my head. But this Creative Commons thing is very cool.
Yeah, which is true. Yes, make it about the customer. So Jordan, if you have a delivery service, it's about the customer service who is getting the healthy lunch. And it looks like it's salads for office delivery. It's about showing you deliver to those customers, and then of course then they're sitting there and getting video of them eating it with, at their board meeting. I mean, there's certain ways that you can get that across in your video, and you can do that in a minute. There is ways to do that.
Yeah, that one for sure. That's make it about the customer experience for sure. I'm ready to order from you, so let me know where you're at, and I'll order it, Jordan. Thanks, man.
Thanks so much for your questions so far. We'll give it just another minute here as I'm just kind of flipping through, making sure that we have all of our questions that haven't yet been addressed being answered. And once again, I'd love to thank Digital Wire 360 and our two amazing presenters here. Lots of information. There's definitely a lot more that we could go into. Oh, here's one from David. Thoughts on Facebook Live video? That's a really great question. Thanks so much, David.
I love Facebook Live video because I just think it just gives an opportunity to do something that is it's not pre-produced. I mean, you go in there and let's say you're showcasing, let's say there's a swimming classes going on, and you're talking about making sure, good swimming techniques here in Arizona and drowning prevention. So it's always nice, and I actually did see this video on somebody else's website recently where they had somebody sitting down and the pool was behind them, and they were talking about drowning prevention, to make sure that you don't drown. So techniques to make sure that doesn't happen here since we live in Arizona. So I love Facebook because it just gives you an opportunity to grab people, and it's just raw.
I think psychologically, the cool thing about it, when I've experienced it, I see like my friends, they're going to play guitar, and I'm like, wow, I'm just relaxed. Like, I guess that's the other thing. At first, when you're watching people try to do a thing on it, you're like, come on, get it together. Like just like we're having technical trouble today. It's hard to do a live broadcast. It takes 3-4 people running a switcher and regular television. They make it look so easy. But I think there's something nice about it that makes you just slow down. So if people are willing to sit there, there definitely is that real connection. And there's something going on there psychologically. I think it's pretty cool. Check it out. He's got his salad. Awesome. Yeah. Well, that's same things. You want to get a rig though for sound. You want to definitely invest $100. Like today, we're just using a basic Shure microphone. We're tossing it amongst ourselves here, and we have like a USB audio interface, so we can just get cleaner signal than what comes out of the box of your laptop. I highly recommend doing that. And as you start to get you'll, as you start buying equipment, you'll become addicted, and I won't say all the negative things that'll happen, but it can be a really slippery slope.
Wonderful. So right before we do our wrap up here, I thought maybe if you guys wouldn't mind and you can flip through the slides really quick. It sounds like, if you have some recap on just video marketing for beginners that we can leave with. Obviously, story booking is really important, and making sure that you have the right equipment. Do you guys have any other kind of real necessary recap that you like to throw out there too? And we'll make sure, once again, there's a lot of really great resources. One of them being that WikiHow with the story booking. We'll make sure that in the follow-up email, you've got links and everything to help you get started. We'll even include, I'm sure that we've got some wonderful local first members out there that have audio equipment that we can point you to get you started there too.
Yeah, I think wrapping that up, Kendall, that was great. And then, just knowing what your message is. That's really what Greg and I always, what is your message that you're trying to convey to your audience about that product or service?
It sounds very simple when you ask somebody why you're doing what you're doing. Just ask yourself the question, why am I sitting in this office today? Why am I doing this? It gets really, really scary when you get in there and you start to drill down. And that's the skill that we have. We're like the friend that will tell you the truth when you're trying to, and you do need a partner when you're trying. I recommend you talking to somebody else about what you're trying to do. You can't do it by yourself. You can, but it's so important to get somebody else's opinion on it, and they might be able to help you with that last 10% that you're just missing. And again, the why question, why you're doing it and who it's for, we drill that constantly. So I'd leave it with that, and then the technical stuff will work itself out. You'll figure that out as you go.
Okay, last thing to wrap up. So Digital Wire 360, we are partnering with Local First Arizona, and we're doing this Guiding Your Brand Through the Wild contest. So really what it is we're going to choose one small business each quarter and basically get a brand refresh. So some of the things that will be helping with that individual or business that gets chosen is digital marketing strategy, website development, social media marketing, and public relations. So the first round is going to be July 1st through the 31st, and then quickly after that, we'll choose that one business, and then we'll go ahead and try to guide them with their marketing strategy. And then that is the website right there where you can go and find out all of the information and then sign up. And then how you sign up is you will need to send a video, which is good. So hopefully some of the tips in here did help you, but it will be a video and you'll get all the information. Really go ahead and look at this and sign up, because this would be a great opportunity to be selected for this, and then we can help you with both of our expertise from Local First and Digital Wire 360. I think it's 4,500. I think on the website, yeah. So it's about a 4,500, 5,000 value of the services that you would get with all of us to help you do this. So sign up. So we appreciate it. Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much to our wonderful presenters, as well as you all who joined us today. And again, we'll make sure that you get the recording and wrap up. And I think that this was a success. And thank you. This has been super interactive. And keep the questions coming. We'll make sure that you've got contacts and things like that in case you want to go even further and get a professional. We'll make sure that you've got all of that information for Digital Wire 360 as well. Thanks so much, and we'll see you next month.